Head over to miniaturemarket.com. They have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Point City. Hello my friends, it's Game Boy Geek here, and today I'm joined by my friend
Greg Dixon. Thanks for having me.
Now today we're going to be building a city, skyscrapers, parks, little tiny houses, you name it.
ATM machines.
Yes. So we're gonna be going through this city builder and building a tableau of cities. So let me give you a quick overview, and we'll be back for our final thoughts afterwards. In Point City, you're going to be building these different types of buildings. There's different levels of them, and they're going to be getting you some things like ongoing bonuses that will help you purchase other buildings, because the costs of the buildings are at the bottom, but when you get some of them, it has some engine building, sort of a la Splendor, that you always have this to purchase this. So if I wanted this, and I already had bought these two cards, well, one of these and one of these is already there. I only need to spend this and this to get the radio station. That one's worth 5 points, and there's different levels of these buildings. Now there's a 4x4 grid and everything is face down. These are different resources. So you have ecology, economy, community, industry, and energy. On your turn, you're going to take two cards that are next to each other. So it could be like these two, or 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 whatever. Maybe you take both communities. So you take both of these, then it's going to refill from a deck of cards. Now these cards, if you had taken a resource, will come out on the building side, because all these cards are double-sided. They have resources on one side and that on the other side. So now the next player, they might want to take two resources, but if they can, they might want to pay for this and buy this building. Now, for example, maybe they want this here, and from previous turns, they have this and this. So they could spend that. So for example, they would spend this to the discard pile that they had gotten in a previous turn, they will get this. If they had enough to also buy this, they could, because it's next to it. But they could now take one of these cards, because remember, you're always doing two cards in a row, so maybe they do that, and they take this. Now, since this one was a resource, it's going to come out as a building, and since that one was a building, it will come out as a resource. It always just comes out the opposite of what it is. By the way, at the beginning of a player's turn, if there's a full row or column of all resources, they can flip them over to the other side. And that might give them some more things to think about. Now let's look at this tiny home. If it was us, remember we had bought the playground before, and it gave us this. It's basically, we have one of these all the time for the rest of the game. So we already have this from our previous building. All we need to do is spend an industry. So we could spend the industry and get this card, and maybe we take an economy. And again, this is going to get refilled in the opposite way, like that. Now, as the game goes on, the deck's going to go through, and the decks are going to get better and better. I mean, there's 3 stages of cards, levels 1, 2, and 3, and some of the cards come out, they're going to be double resources. There's also some wild cards that you can use for anything. Some of them are going to come out towards the end of the game, they're going to be huge amounts of points. Some of them come out, and they have this civic. When you buy this one, you'll be able to take one of these civic tiles. These are basically end game scoring. There's a certain amount placed out depending on the amount of players. Here's a 2-player game. And you would take any one of these. Like this would give you 3 points for any one of the cards or the buildings that you have built that have, a set. So if you have one of these buildings and one of the buildings like that, for each set of that, you'll get 3 points. Or you go straight up. Every building that you've built that has the community on there, you'll get 2 points. Or every one of these civic tiles. Oh no, this one's just straight 7 points. There is one that gives you points for how many tiles you have. So anything with types of 2 or more. So for each one of these building types that you have 2 or more of these gears on, for example, it would be worth 2 points. So all sorts of different ways. 2 points for every wild ingenuity resource you have at the end of the game. So all different ways to score, and these will change, game to game. That's pretty much it. You're going to play to the deck ends. Everyone will have an equal amount of turns. Whoever has the most points from the buildings they've built and these is the winner. All right, now before I get to my final thoughts, I want to let you know that if you like my content, there's now ways to get bonus content like first impression videos well before a review will come out, or for many games I don't even end up reviewing. You can even vote for which games get reviewed on the channel. You can also see me opening up packages and getting content earlier than everyone else. Well, if you like that, you can check it out at patreon.com/GameBoyGeek. All right, well, there is Point City, which is a follow-up to Point Salad. Same publishers, same designers,
Yep.
half of the same name.
Similar art style, same box shape. I mean, it's a clear follow-up, yeah.
Yeah, what did you think about this one?
I love it. I mean, spoiler alert, it's great.
I think it's a great sequel to Point Salad.
I think it's better.
A lot of similar art and things like that. I like that there's a grid and that you're taking 2 adjacent cards because there's an abstract sort of spatial aspect where it's like, oh, I want to take this or this, or do I want to take this or this, or do I want this building and then which card next to it will I take? Maybe even using that to get that building.
Right.
I also like that the market, it fluctuates, meaning if you take a resource, what's going to be refilled as a building?
Yes.
If you buy a building, what's going to be fixed is the opposite of resource. And it keeps things like,
it kind of has
keeps
an
a
interesting
flow.
ebb and flow because there'll be times when it feels like, oh, there's just resources. And there's other times where it feels like there's too many buildings, you know? And so there's kind of an ebb and flow as to when you're going to really load up on resources and when you're going to focus on getting buildings that score.
Yeah. But with all that being, the grid being turned over and such like that, I really liked also that it never gets stagnant because if there's ever a full row or column of just resources, at the beginning of your turn for free, you can flip all of them to buildings. So if there's not a lot of options, it speeds it up. So it doesn't make it so we have to take 4 turns and give us a good market. So if a bunch of people buy buildings, someone could just be like, here's a bunch more. Yeah. That really helped. That was good development because that helped speed the game up.
And because there's so many cards to choose from, I feel like it's a little friendlier than Point Salad.
Oh,
Point Salad
it's definitely not nearly as mean as Point Salad.
Point Salad can be very mean, especially since you know exactly how many there are of each vegetable. And I think for a gateway game, which arguably they both are, it's kind of nice to have it not be so mean.
Yeah, no.
I think that's a plus to this one. And I like the art better. I mean, and the grid, it just has so many options that you're not likely... even though there could be maybe 3 turns before it gets back to you, pretty good shot that you can still do what you want to do. So you can plan your turn, and the game just moves. It's just quick.
It does. It's definitely way less mean than Point Salad. I like the meanest Point Salad, but if you did not...
Oh, I do too. But
if you did not, you're going to like this one better.
Since these are kind of gateway games and they're intended for a gateway audience, you don't want to teach someone Point Salad that you've played 50 times. And just crush them. Now they're going to have a fighting chance in Point City, which I think is a plus, Now,
another interesting aspect of this is it feels very Splendor-ish, where you buy a building, and hey, now I have a leaf, and now I have a this, and now I can get this. Sometimes you're like, I'm going to take this building for free, a la Splendor, or Rocky Road a la Mode, those little engine building games. It pulls from that, and it has that similar feeling engine builders are fun.
If you like Splendor or Point Salad, you're going to love this.
Yeah.
But the question I think some people might ask is there too much overlap? Is it too much like Splendor? Is it too much like Point Salad?
Is it too much like Point Salad? I don't think it's too much like Point Salad.
I don't think so either.
I think it's different enough because Point Salad, you can basically take any card and use it to score. I love that about Point Salad. Yes. Here, the only way you really score other than just buying the buildings for the points is you get these civic buildings and then you have these tokens. And you're like, oh, those types of scoring are similar to how Point Salad scoring works.
Yeah,
you get 2 points for every leaf that you have on your card. That part feels like it. But you don't have the flexibility of grabbing any card because you have to build a certain building to get that. So I like Point Salad better than this because I like that every game, it's much more freeing for me to build my strategy. Where here, the strategy is more in the engine building. How I score off of those is less open and less free than
less
in Point
open,
Salad.
but it still allows you to customize the way you're going to score, which I really appreciate.
Don't get me wrong. I really like this game.
Yeah, I do too.
But I love Point Salad.
Okay, so with me, Point Salad I love, but because it's a fast filler, because you can play with anyone, because it goes up to a fairly large player count, I played it a ton. And I have to be fully transparent. I kind of was getting burned out on it.
Well, yeah.
I don't crave Point Salad
But
anymore.
I bet you if you played Point Salad right now, this would be one of those times you'd be like, I forgot how much I liked it.
No, I mean, I played it not too long ago, and I was like, yeah, this is a good game, but I think Point City's better. I like the art better. I like that it's less mean. Not that I care about the meanness, but I'm going to be playing this with Gateway people, probably, and so I don't want to just slaughter them. I like that there's so many options. You can plan your turn. I think the art's more interesting. I love the grid that you're pulling from. I love that you can still customize the way you score. It kind of feels better in every way to me, which is appropriate. I mean, these designers have built this follow-up 4 or 5 years later. You would expect it to be better, and I think it is.
One thing I like better about this in Point Salad is the cards are layered. So there's a deck 1, deck 2, deck 3. As the game goes on and you're building your engine, the cards get more costly, but they also get better.
Yeah.
And so the game has a better arc than Point
The
Salad.
arc is very satisfying.
But in the end, I still like Point Salad better. I think this is a solid sort of 30-minute Gateway plus Engine Builder.
even
It has more depth than Point Salad.
Yes,
But
which is why I like it.
But quite honestly, if I'm gonna play a 30-minute Engine Builder, I'm never gonna not pick Splendor over this. I'm probably mostly gonna pick Rocky Mode a la mode after this. Like,
This
I
feels
still like it. Like, if you were like, hey, let's play Point Salad, no, I wouldn't even think, yes, let's play it. Point City,
right.
I like it. I'm just not sure. I already have too many games that are similar enough to this. And not that this is very similar to any other game, but the idea and the feelings that you get when you do them, I feel like I already have favorites of mine.
I love Splendor. I'm with you on that. I think Splendor's kind of a masterpiece. But this it's different enough, I feel like, that you can have both. For one thing, like you said, that arc. In Splendor, the arc is there, but it's like they're always available to you, so it doesn't feel like as much of an arc. You know what I mean? Because you're going to get the bigger cards near the end in Splendor. But this one, I just think that arc feels more dynamic, more exciting, and I think there's almost more replayability than Splendor. Splendor's great, but it always has a similar feel every time you play it. Whereas this one, the fact that there's so many choices in that grid.
Not if we're playing this 2-player, because Splendor Duel.
But think about it. Splendor Duel, yeah. I mean, that's also a masterpiece. But with this one, the little tokens that you can get that help you customize, you're gonna have a different batch every time you play as well.
Yeah.
That's gonna feel that's gonna give it more replayability. I mean, granted, there's the Royals in Splendor, but sometimes you play Splendor and you don't even use those.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think Splendor is a better game, but I think it's different enough that you can have both.
I think so
also
too. I think most people could have both. I'm not going to have both.
And Point City, you said 30 minutes. I don't even know if it's 30 minutes.
No, I mean, it's
pretty
probably
fast.
more like 20, 25.
Splendor is also pretty fast, but I think this one's a little quicker. I think you could probably get a play done faster.
It might be about the same. But
there's so much deliberation
we're
in Splendor.
splitting hairs. We both really like it. He
yes.
likes it more than I do.
Yeah.
This was recently on Kickstarter, by the way.
Yes, raised a ton of money.
Yeah, and if you did back this, you're gonna. If you
Thousands
backed it,
of
you
backers.
probably had an idea of what the game was.
Yeah.
For what it's doing, it's very good.
Yeah. Well, thousands of people backed this, and I think that's just a credit to how popular Point Salad was.
Yeah.
And I think the Point Salad, like, rabid fans are going to love this as well. So you're going to be happy with what you get.
I think this is going to be one of the more talked about games when it comes out later this year, once people get a chance to play it.
Yeah.
I think it's very solid.
It's gonna be
But the problem for me is, like, I like Point Salad better, and I like Splendor better. So for me, I'm like, if those two games didn't exist, I'd be like, this is the best thing, you know?
No, Point Salad, I was starting to burn out a little on Point Salad. I'll play it, and it's good.
Yeah.
But I like that it's like, oh, I get to, like, enjoy a Point Salad-esque game again, and it feels fresh and renewed and different. And so it came at, like, the perfect time.
And by the way, we played this multiple player counts. I think I liked 2 the best. Even with 4, it still felt good. Right?
Yeah.
Because you have more of those civic tiles to pick from.
Yeah, it's great
Stuff
with
like
all
that.
player counts.
It works well with all the player counts.
Well, does it go up to 6?
No, it's just 2 to 4, I believe.
Oh, that's a
I believe,
small
or no.
downside.
Oh, you know what? I need to double check that actually.
I can look it
Because
up real quick.
I thought maybe it does go. You know what? Maybe it does go to 6.
Real-time research, kids. 1 to 4.
Okay.
So and Point Salad goes to 6, right?
Yes.
So that's a
But
small
it's not one I would
downside.
typically play with 6 though.
Yeah, that's true.
It's best with less.
Yeah, you get so much less chances to do stuff.
Effectively, that's a same player count as this, really.
Yeah.
But there you go. There's our thoughts of Point City. It's very good.
It's very good, yeah.
Uber loves it. I think it's a very good game.
Yeah.
Point City. There you go.
Check it out. Great game.
Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table into a high-quality gaming solution, but they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with over 20 styles of thematic game mats in 11 different sizes from notable board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and real cool accessories, experience what thousands of other gamers enjoy by upgrading every game you play with a Game Topper system. Save hundreds of dollars on Game Topper package deals that are in stock now for immediate shipping at GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.